So I'm just measuring out a tablespoon of the Parmesan cheese, which is delicious, and garlic, minced garlic mixture. And then spacing them so it's at least got space, because when it actually bakes down to make the cracker, it will fully flatten and they will grow towards each other. So you definitely don't want to put them too close on your sheet pan. And this way you get a nice mix and you'll have some really wonderful keto crackers. Alright, so all the cheese is melted, but you want to make sure it gets crispy so it makes a really good cracker. Alright, so first things first, I'm going to clear off some of this space. So just have different sized small dishes. Now I do have quite a bit of small dishes just because I think they're cute. I like sauces and different things, but not everybody does. And of course you have to have some sweet stuff. All right. So I'm going to take this, and this is going to become ready for our keto platters. There's that. Now I did do an Italian dry salami because it doesn't have any carbs and it doesn't have any of the net fiber. So just so you know. And then I added this lovely, it's a sun-dried tomato, artichokes, a tomato, sun-dried tomato pesto, and then some stuffed peppers with the soft cheese and some stuffed olives with blue cheese in them. Then I went ahead and got the spiced beetroot. Again, this is something that has 2 net carbs in it. And then I'm going to do just some regular green olives, because who doesn't love green olives? Green olives. And then I really love a good pesto. So I just picked this nice green pesto that I'm going to use actually on some of the nuts that we got. We got some of these. And then we're actually going to make these a really great flavor without adding a whole bunch of carbs to them. So that will actually help quite a bit. And it's going to be super awesome. All right. And now we have pecans. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and take you over to the stove, and we are going to go ahead and get set up so I can show you how I flavor these really simply. All right, y'all. I am going to take my pan and I'm going to turn my burner just on like a good low medium heat, and then I'm going to take just a little bit of olive oil and get that in the pan as this gets nice and warmed up and it's ready to go. And then we are going to toast up some of these amazing nuts. All right, so here I have my pan. My pan's getting nice and hot. I'm just gonna spray this. Nicely. I'm gonna add my pecans for toasting, and they're just gonna be chilling in the pan. Now I use a coconut oil spray, but you can use whichever one you have. That's totally fine. And then as they kind of toast up, I'll go ahead and get this seasoning on there. Now this is actually a sugar-free Creole seasoning. It doesn't say sugar-free on it, but if you look in the ingredients, there aren't sugars and things in it. So this is one, let me see if it'll focus. There we go. That I really like, and I'm just using about a tablespoon of it. Okay, so the nuts are going. Now this does not take very long. We're talking just a couple of minutes here for these nuts to kind of get toasted up. Just brings out the goodness of them. So these have been going for just a couple minutes. And you can see some of the oils are starting to come out of the pecans, but also they're getting nice and coated in what we sprayed into the pan. Okay. So I like mine to be really Cajun. Not everybody likes really Cajun. So, you know, you can season accordingly, but I am just gonna sprinkle that on here. Just kind of give it a nice toss. So good. So I added about half my seasoning. And this is a very mild amount of seasoning. You don't really get the kick. Now, it is a little salty. So if you like salt, this is going to be your thing. Just add the rest of that seasoning there and let it kind of toast up and marry together. Now I'm going to take my walnuts. Now I use the, I think they're half the walnuts, but it doesn't matter what size you use. It just depends on what size you want to have on your tray. So you can get smaller ones. And then I just do 2 teaspoons of pesto. And I'm not adding another sauce to these because the pesto already has oil in it. So you don't have to spray the pan. Is that good enough? And then you just kind of come in and make sure it gets stirred together well. So I'm going to let this kind of come together in the pan. Make sure everything gets good and coated. You do want to make sure you get a pesto that does not have a lot of sugar in it. All right, guys, so these have been going right about 4 to 5 minutes, but you can see how the pesto has really like been soaked up nicely into the nuts. It's not sitting separate in the pan. Oh man, this smells so good. All right, so that is what you kind of want it to look like. You do want to take it out into a dish that it will be able to be temperature safe and let it cool completely. And I'll just get that transferred and then we'll check back into our keto platter. All right, guys, so we are back. We have our lovely Cajun spiced pecans, which is our Creole seasoning. And then we have our pesto walnuts, which have some really great flavor. So I went ahead and just did some little dishes like this that have a little pimento stuffed olive, a red pepper that's stuffed with a soft cheese, and a couple of artichokes in it. Just gonna add a couple of artichokes to this one. Just so that it looks pretty in here. And you can see already, this is allowing everything to be individually portioned and for there to not have any issues. Now, obviously, hand washing. And then these ones I really love, the sun-dried tomatoes. Now the sun-dried tomatoes are not as keto friendly, so you do want to watch that. You do want to warn anyone who is very much trying to cover their carbs and keep below a certain number. I also know that Dr. Berg doesn't believe in the same style of keto, and he says because the nutrition in tomatoes, it's definitely worth it. So we're just gonna tuck this right in here. So you can see how pretty that looks. I'm gonna go ahead and get my hands washed up, and then we are gonna go ahead and put together some individual keto platters that will make your mouth water. All right, guys, so we went ahead and we got just some of our lovely beetroot spice. It's like a jam, but it doesn't have all the sweetness to it, but it does have some of the cinnamon in it, which makes it really nice. And then we have our lovely bowls with our little sampler things in there. We got some of our Creole pecans that are already on the table. And obviously, you know, green olives are a really great option for people that are keto. We have our lovely pesto walnuts. We're just gonna kind of layer in here like this. And then I would go ahead and take the Gouda or any of the cheeses that you have sliced up or ready to go. And you can get square slices or things like that, any of the flavors that you really want. I love cheese, and I'm just kind of marrying it together so it looks like a little river in between the two banks here of the salami and the pecans. And then I am just going to add just a touch of the pepitas right in front. Obviously, you don't want to throw them on the table. All right, just to add a little pop of color. You guys can put ornaments in this that are not gonna flake, so you don't want anything with glitter or anything on it, just to make it super decorative. Or if you really do want to make sure that your guests have an option where they are able to take part of your keto platters and not touch anybody else's food, I did go ahead and just make up this little plate like this. So you took one of the samplers of the pecans. I did some of the salami, a little bit of the cheese, the sampler of the peppers. And then I took the pecans and the walnuts and added that in there. I put some of the spiced beetroot. And then I would actually just finish this off with some of those pepitas right in front. Just as a really great filler. And then the pièce de résistance, because everyone needs a little bit of sweet. I'm gonna put this back here actually. What did I do with my chocolate? Hold on one second. All right, guys. So I'm taking just some unsweetened baking chocolate, and I'm just gonna cut this into some pretty looking shards. Now this is not specific. Obviously, if you are keto, it says this 2 pieces of this is 1 net carb. So, I mean, that's quite a bit if you think about the thing. Obviously, this is holiday. We're talking about things happening that are outside of the normal everyday, just so you're not kind of loud. Just so you're not thinking like you don't eat like this every day. This isn't something that is really great, but it is a way for you to stay on keto and to do the things that you need to do while still being able to enjoy something like this, like a party. All right, so you can see it kind of cuts pretty nicely if you wanted to just use it as shards, or you could cut some interesting angles here. Alright, and then honestly, I would probably move this one right there and tuck this guy right here. That way it makes sense where you have your chocolate, because I'm one of those people that it has to make sense where you have your chocolate. And then I would tuck it right up here with my little pepitas, because who doesn't need just enough sweet to make sure that you are not grabbing the things that you shouldn't be grabbing when you're looking at the holidays, because let's face it, this is a hard time of year, but it's also really a great time of year to make sure that you're making good choices for you. So just to kind of recap, I'll go over some of the different options for the cheese again, and your lovely platter all together, so you can do either one if you're wanting it to be more of like a smorgasbord. Now, there are fun ways that you can fold the meat. If you get a thinner meat that's not quite as long, you can go ahead and make it look like flowers. You can make the cheese crackers like I was talking about, and I'll actually show some footage of making those just so you have those, and some other keto platters that I have made that would be really great, including some fresh veggies as well. But guys, this is what we're kind of looking at, whether you do the individual version or whether you do the bigger version for everyone to kind of grab off of together. But either way, I do want to thank you for watching Eat Your Feelings with Zona Garrett. And guys, let's have some fun this holiday. Let's end this year with a bang and really enjoying ourselves and able to make the kind of choices that help year round. Wanted to see where we had the other keto platter, I'll go ahead and link the video where you guys can see that in one of my collaborations with Legacy Brand Photography with Lindsay Martin. We do a show called Brewtally Honest. Make sure you guys check that out. That is every Friday, and I believe Eat Your Feelings is every Saturday. So we'll see you guys soon.